Hello and shalom to everyone out there who has the fear of Yahweh Elohim, the testimony of his son Yahushua, and who guards his commandments. Brother Nick here, and today is the 23rd day of the third month on Yahweh Elohim's solar calibrated non-Gregorian 364-day calendar. It is June 11th, 2025. That's the Gregorian equivalent. This video is being published from the island of Cyprus, and the title of this video is The Summer Solstice Judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah, the two Yahwehs, and Lot abandoned his sons. They were too far gone. So I just published this paper on my academia page. Link to this paper in the video description, also in the pinned comment. Get this paper. It's very important. It's probably better that you read this paper on your own than you listen to me read it, because I have speech impediment. It's just not that fun to listen to me speak. So you can get that paper, but I'm going to go through this paper anyways because I might be able to provide some extra information in here. This paper is only 2 pages long. The body of the paper is only 2 pages. It's this page right here and this page right here. You can probably read it in like 10 minutes, but I'm going to go through this paper because I'm just going to do it for the sake of this video. All right. So I'm going to be reading this paper out of this Google Docs page rather than off of my academia page. So let me go ahead and begin. We'll just get right into it because it's that easy. But in this video and in this paper, I'm going to be proving to everybody out there that the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah happened on the day of the summer solstice. And it can be you can only be deduced using the book of Jubilees and the 364-day calendar, but it has to be the restored Psalm 19 restored 364-day calendar. The Psalm 19 restored 364-day calendar of the book of Jubilees does not use the Gregorian days of the week, and it is solar calibrated, means it uses the spring equinox. I'll be talking a little bit about that calendar in this paper right here. So let me go ahead and get into it, and let's go for it. So in the book of Jubilees is recorded the date when Yahweh, accompanied by 2 men, angels, appeared to Abraham while he sat in the door of his tent in the plains of Mamre during the heat of the day. The heat of the day could be like solar noon, or it could be like 2 o'clock. Usually maybe winds might come around like 4 o'clock if there's winds at that time, but this is the summer month, so the wind might not be going. Jubilees, right here, chapter 16, verse 1, records that this event occurred on the first day of the 4th month, while the book of Genesis does not provide any date for the event. With the Psalm 19 restored solar calibrated non-Gregorian 364-day calendar version, which is different than all the other 364-day calendars out there, there's other false versions out there, which is the restored calendar of the book of Jubilees. It has to be the Psalm 19 restored version. The solar date and the Gregorian date of the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah can be deduced, can be figured out as the day of the summer solstice. I talked about this 5 years ago in my video, 5 years ago, but now I put this in written form in this paper. And this is a lot more detailed, and I give you all the facts about it. As this author, myself, proved in his plethora paper, Restored, where I restored the calendar, the 364-day calendar of Jubilees, is calibrated. The 364-day calendar in the book of Jubilees is calibrated every tropical solar cycle by the sun, which is, quote, the great sign on the earth. That's Jubilees 2, verse 9, okay? This author identified that the great sign of the sun is the day of the spring equinox, which is the day that the sun rises due east and shines due west directly into the tabernacle and directly into the temple per Psalm 19. Okay, I talk about that in my paper, Restored. You can check it out. It is the key of David to unlock and to restore the calendar. Since the sign of the spring equinox resets and recalibrates the new year, the new calendar year, the following day, after the day of the spring equinox, is always the first day of the first month. So it does not start on the spring equinox, it starts on the day after. I explain that in my paper. This means that all 364 days of the year, day number 1 through day number 364, are always going to be in their same respective location in relationship or in relation to the day of the spring equinox every year. So it's always going to be the same. For instance, the day of the Passover, which is always on the 14th day of the first month, is always going to be on the 14th day after the spring equinox, after the day of the spring equinox. That's just when it's going to be, always. And then that's how for all the other days of the 364-day calendar. They're always in the same position, always in the same location compared to the spring equinox. From reading the record of Yahweh, okay, in the book of Genesis, appearing to Abraham, and then his judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah, the only logical conclusion that can be made is that Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities of the plain were judged on the day following Yahweh appearing to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. This would mean that Sodom and Gomorrah was judged by the two Yahwehs on the second day of the fourth month. It needs to be noted, there are two Yahwehs in the record of Genesis 19:24. Okay, in the record, as Genesis 19:24 has one Yahweh who is on earth, likely the Yahweh that appeared to Abraham, who then rains down fire and brimstone from a second Yahweh who is in heaven. And then here it is, Genesis 19:24, quote, "Then Yahweh rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven." The two Yahwehs being the image, who is the Son, and the Father. That's just how I understand it. That's the best understanding that I got. According to Genesis 19:23, that's the verse before, the raining of fire and brimstone occurred when, quote, "the sun was risen upon the earth." All right, so after sunrise, then it rained fire and brimstone. And that is consistent with the sunrise or boker start to the 24-hour day seen in the scriptures. The day does not start at nighttime. That's at the evening. That's a Jewish tradition. It's false. It's probably Babylonian. It starts at sunrise in the scriptures. In the 364-day calendar, there are 12 months that contain 30 days per month, and there are 4 intercalary days. One intercalary day at the end of months 3, 6, 9, and 12, acting as 31st days. They're not, okay? They act as a 31st day. They're 31st day of that month, okay? Or the 91st day of that quarter. This means that the first day of the 4th month, when Yahweh appeared to Abraham, according to Jubilees chapter 16, verse 1, is the 92nd day of the year, and is always the 92nd day after the spring equinox. That's just how it works. Just like the Passover is always the 14th day after the spring equinox, after the day of the spring equinox. Same here. The first day of the 4th month is always the 92nd day after the day of the spring equinox. It also means that the day of the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities of the plain occurred on day number 93 of the year, and is always the 93rd day after the spring equinox. Everything is in relationship to the sun. That's how it works. In astronomy, the summer solstice event occurs approximately 92.75 days after the spring equinox event. This means that the summer solstice event occurs on day number 93. For instance, the March equinox, vernal spring equinox in Jerusalem occurred this Gregorian year at 11:01 on March 20th, 2025. And thus March 20th was the day of the spring equinox. It thus made March 21st the first day of the first month and also day number 1 of 364. That's how the calendar works. The June solstice, we're actually in the month of June right now, it's June 11th. The summer solstice in Jerusalem is at 5:42 in the morning, 5:42 a.m. on June 21st, 2025. The sunrise in Jerusalem on June 21st, 2025 occurs at 5:34 a.m. in the morning, and means in 2025 the summer solstice moment will occur only 8 minutes after the sun rises. Interesting to note in Genesis 19:23, again, I'm going back to that verse that I just read, it records that the judgment occurred when, quote, the sun was risen upon the earth, meaning judgment happened just after sunrise. It leaves us to question, did the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah happen at the very moment of the summer solstice? At the very moment of the summer solstice, just after sunrise, similar to the timing of the summer solstice moment this year in 2025? That's a question. If it happened at that exact moment of the summer solstice, I don't know if we can track that, because after that we had Joshua's long day. We had the sun going back 10 degrees. So with Hezekiah, so there's a lot there. We can't really get the exact moment likely. In conclusion and in summary of the exercise, the summer solstice occurs on day number 93 after the day of the spring equinox. And day number 93 after the spring equinox is always the second day of the fourth month. The day, according to the combined records of Genesis and Jubilees, is the day of the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah occurred. So there you have it. The summer solstice always occurs on the 93rd day after the day of the spring equinox, on the 93rd day. And day number 93 after the spring equinox is the second day of the fourth month. It's always the second day of the fourth month. That's how I best understand it. I'm not a professional astronomer, but this is the information that's available to me that I can use to deduce to understand when this event happened. Okay, you're probably only going to hear about that on my channel. I don't think anybody else is doing this, but it okay. Hallelujah. The insight of the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah occurring on the day of the summer solstice can only be deduced from the book of Jubilees and using the Psalm 19 restored, solar calibrated, non-Gregorian 364-day calendar restored by this author. The fact that the math and astronomy and the date and record of the event and the Psalm 19 restored 364-day calendar all work together is not a coincidence, but rather is proof of both the historical record in the book of Jubilees, and also it's proof and that the calendar, and it's proof of the calendar as it can only be deduced on such Psalm 19 calendar calibration. Okay, you have to have the Psalm 19 restored 364-day calendar. It doesn't work with any other calendar out there. So this is like a triple confirmation. It's confirming the date in the book of Jubilees. It's that confirms the calendar, and that calendar confirms the Psalm 19 calendar calibration. Okay, it all works together. The theme of a fire and brimstone judgment from Yahweh in heaven after the sun is fully risen is a solar theme. It's in the theme of the sun. It's in the theme of the solar theme because the sun is involved. All right? And combined with the date of the solar solstice, it all fits. And there's no other explanation for it. It's in the solar theme, everything all fits. According to the book of Jubilees chronology, using Jubilees, okay, as the chronology, assuming the 50th year of Jubilee was year 1407 to 1406 BCE, which I believe it is. That was the 50th year of Jubilee. We are now 70 years removed from that. We're in the 70th Jubilee from that date, which is the 120th Jubilee according to the book of Jubilees. Then year 1878 BCE was the year with the spring equinox on April 6th, making day number 93 of the summer solstice judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah as July 8th, 1878 BCE. That's the best date that I have. I believe it's 1878. If I did the subtraction correct, we know that this is the year of Jubilee. And if I subtracted it correctly, then the 471 years correctly from that date, I believe that this is correct. And again, it's important to note that even though if you look up when is the spring equinox, it says either March 20th or 21st or March 19th or 20th, one of those two. But that's not the case. If you go back in time because of precession or whatever, precession and whatnot, or the decimal point of the tropical solar cycle, if you go back all those several thousand, almost 4,000 years from now, the spring equinox Gregorian equivalent would have been on April 6th, 1878 BCE. The following day becomes the first day of the first month, day number 1 of 364. Then you have to count to day number 93 of 364, which would have been on July 8th, okay, 1878 BCE. In parting thoughts from this author wants to note that according to Genesis 19:12, that Lot had sons. Genesis 19, verse 12. Quote, and the two men, angels, said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters? And whatsoever thou hast in this city, bring them out of this place. That's what that's the question. They're saying, do you have anything else besides these? So the two angels know that Lot had sons. All right, but we don't hear anything else about Lot's sons. Lot didn't go to his sons. Lot went to his daughter-in-laws, and his daughter-in-law's husbands laughed at Lot. His daughter's husbands mean his sons-in-laws. Okay, so he did not go to his sons, but he went to his sons-in-laws. They didn't do it. And then he had two daughters that were not married. Okay, Lot also had two daughters that were unmarried that he offered to the men of the city. What's very interesting is there's no record of Lot going to his sons because he didn't. And this is something that not a lot of Bible teachers have left out, but the Ruach revealed it unto me, hallelujah. And this is really important to know. So this is a significant part of the record that is overlooked by most Bible commentators, because the Genesis record does not, and the Jubilees record does not record Lot ever going to his sons to get them out. Again, he only went to his daughters and to his sons-in-law. But the angels they know that's there. Now the angels, to get there, they had to teleport. Just like Yahweh appeared with two men, the angels appeared at the front of Sodom and Gomorrah and came into Lot's place. Okay, they came in through the gate city and walked in. But they had to appear. So they basically, all they did was just teleport. All right? And the only reason why Lot did not get his sons is because he knew they were too far gone. They were gone of the ways of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's very sobering to note. Now, the last piece I want to leave you here is additionally in Jubilees chapter 16, verse 6, is the following prophecy, and it says, and in like manner, Elohim will execute judgment on the places where they have done according to the uncleanliness of the Sodomites, like unto the judgment of Sodom. So Yahweh is going to do to the places that were like Sodom, Elohim is going to execute judgment in like unto the judgment of Sodom. Might not be exact, we don't know. It's going to be a fire and brimstone that could be like nuclear bombs, nuclear explosions. Okay, and only time will tell if the prophecy in Jubilees 16 verse 6 is true or a false interpolation into the true text. The book of Jubilees is true. I found there's so much in the book of Jubilees, the description of Noah's mountain and the three cities of his sons. I found that on the actual mountain of where Noah's boat rested according to the book of Jubilees. It lines up geographically with that. There's so much in there that I trust in this book of Jubilees. It does look like there have been some interpolations over the years, but it's really good, really, really good. So this author gives all praise to Yah for the insights that I just shared with you and have received. Hello, Yah. And there's a link to the 364-day calendar here in my paper, and also there's a link to my June 21st, 2019 YouTube video. That was now, what, 6 years ago? I think I also talked about this, the summer solstice judgment, Sodom's judgment happened on the summer solstice back in 2018, as far back as 2018. So that's over 7 years ago now. So I hope that you all are blessed by the information in this video. I hope that you're blessed by this paper. A link to the paper in the video description. Come and get it. Freely that I receive, freely I give. No, don't receive any donations. Don't receive any of that. Let me know. Leave a comment if you want. And I hope that you're blessed by the information in this video. I hope to be making more videos about the summer solstice coming up and other events. Big watch going on right now this summer. This is the time to be watching. You know, you don't want to be a lazy son in the summer. You want to be working in the field when it's hot out and getting it done. So I hope to be making more videos on this summer and right now, and bringing out more videos, more truths, and sharing that with you all. I hope that you all are blessed, and I'm signing off. And shalom to all those out there who fear Yahweh Elohim, have the testimony of his son Yahushua, and who guard his commandments. Shalom to you.